Okay, this is going to be a video for the Focal Clear. They are a very, very, very nice set of earphones. They're beautiful. They sound absolutely amazing. The 40 millimeter diaphragm that I have kind of right there that I'll talk about in the video, it doesn't really show its size except when you're comparing it A and B directly with a larger diaphragm planar. One concern that I might touch on and I might not is the build quality for something in this price range, though I'm just getting familiar, is a little bit, you can see it in the unboxing. It's not the greatest build quality, but it sounds fantastic, and its job is to sound fantastic if you pay this much money, and I think it does. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, this is going to be the review portion for a video review of the Focal Clear open back dynamic driver headphones, and these are absolutely fucking fantastic. I completely thought this was going to go another way. Seriously, before I started listening, I did a cutout of 40 millimeter drivers. I also did a cutout of about the same of what the audio driver is, because I was starting to A and B compare and was expecting. There is differences, and I'll get into that briefly, but if you have larger planers, you already know that, and I'm preaching to the choir. It would be ideal if you had one good dynamic driver and one really good planar in your collection. I don't think that having two dynamics or two planars because your fan would actually be the best way. I would recommend having one of each because they both have their pluses and minuses, and we'll talk about the Clear right now. The 40 millimeter driver might indicate that low frequency would be a slight struggle, and I did look at a graph, and the one thing that I can look at is the roll off in the bass, and it looks like typically, as openbacks have, that there's some roll off on this, and thought it's going to show itself. So of course I went ahead and checked that out, and let's check that out together. And this is Big Boy Killjill. Turn your whatever you're listening to down, because this is going to hit like a savage. And we go.
Polo to the flow though. You already know though. It's Adamville for real. You see a hoe, just take a photo. I'm reppin' that's on photo with a fofo on your brodo. Cause that Jodo thought that he could rob a player for some dodo. Oh no, also Allen Temple.
Oh no. Oh no. That does it just fine. That blew my brains, actually. Coming from the bass head branch, when I first got into audio, coming from car audio, personal audio, headphones, most of them were total garbage. This is really, really good. It's getting the middle, the lowest of the three hits. It's kind of piggybacking on a second hit if you measure it. Passes that test, which is what the Sundara couldn't do. The audio it's good enough for me. This does it better, and this is a driver that looks about the same size as that little circle right there. So we put that on there, we look at that, and we say, damn, that's really small. And you take that off, and you put the audio, and you say, that's really big. In the bass department, on that track right there, this would be the better, nicest, more authentic hit. Super big surprise. But this larger driver shows itself later on. But for what this size is, very impressed and kind of surprised, actually. Next thing, let me explain really quickly. Why is this in my videos all the time? Because I have obsessive compulsive disorder. If you haven't figured that out by now, I would be stunned. And it's a legit thing, and it's diagnosed, and it manifests itself in some ways. When I work through lunchtimes, and I don't need to eat. I just need to get to the end of the assignment, the project, whatever has been done. And that was really great for me when I started at a young age in Hawaii. I worked hard. I made good money because I don't know how to stop until like the sun goes down or there's some kind of cue to stop. I don't eat. When I listen to music, in human relations, it's not really always a good thing. It's my way or the highway, pretty much. And that's the way it goes. I don't really consider any other way except my own way. But when it comes to working, and also when I listen to audio, I obsess. DB match, obsess, hours of my life. God, how many hours? So what I do is I have the audio, and I have this, and then I have this, and you're thinking, why don't you just note the number you're on the RME 80i2 deck? That's big brain stuff. I'm not quite there yet. Let me enjoy my tools. I paid for this. I want to use it. I bought that laser for measuring Bluetooth stuff, and I used it once. I want to use this more, and I actually enjoy sticking it in and checking out the volume, and it's kind of fun. And it's exactly the same coming out, so I think it's fair that I'm comparing the two, even though they're different types of drivers. After I listen for enjoyment, which is briefly, then I start to do the timestamp stuff where I obsess on something like Pink Floyd on the Run, 26 seconds to 58 seconds to be exact, and there's a woman announcing people to get their passports ready for a flight to Rome, and it's the higher the resolution, I have a DSD, a legit DSD, and I also have a really good 2496 flat grip of the UK Harvest Edition, and you can catch a lot of that and the overlap from the next audio event, which is I think when it starts getting into where the rocket ships start to prepare to start coming from left and right, and you get that panning cues, which is fantastic. That is a part where the audio, as everybody out there who has good large planners knows, and I'm learning now, is going to surpass something as impressive as this is. Those left, up, back, behind your head cues that this can simulate. Something like the audio and its big driver can do even better. And you would expect by looking at something that's about that size and then replacing it with something that's far larger than the physical human ear and playing information actually outside of your ear, and it sounds like that in a more realistic way. This gets close. It doesn't quite compete with large planar drivers, but for what it does, it's impressive. I really would rec that you have one good planar and one good dynamic. That would be ideal. Having two dynamics, because you say, I'm a dynamic guy. Hey, I'm a bass head and I got 15-inch speakers in my floor. I got them under my floor right now. Before the flooring of this room was put in, two 15-inch digital designs were put into my floor. And that was an interesting thing because the people were Japanese that were doing the floor installation, and I had it set up. They left for one night while all the beams were exposed. I came in, put my drivers, mounted them, and then asked them if they could run these wires out of the bottom. I'll show it to you someday. And I got wires that are coming out of tubes on this side of the room and then going over to the power source and also to the speakers. So I've demonstrated it for the kids sometimes. It's like an earthquake. Getting back on subject. So big drivers, I'm a big fan. I like them. I like dynamic drivers. But having two great dynamic sets in your collection, have one great one like this set, and then also have a planar, because they're really different presentations completely. Really very different and good in their own ways. For something like On the Run or the album Dark Side of the Moon, in general, I think I would enjoy a relaxed planar all night long because of stuff like Money and Time and songs that got a lot of stuff that starts screeching in the uppers. I think I'd rather go for something like that if it was reasonably warm than something like this, because this is really a detail monster. Next song is going to be Hey Hey What Can I Do by Led Zeppelin. Let's go ahead and take a look. So every time I do a video, someone comes in and says, hey, what is that? It makes me know that this is a person that's never watched my channel before. Let's go ahead and slide over here. They're like, what is that? Believe me, the first time I saw this, I thought the same thing, and I instantly realized this was the destiny, was to have a 55-inch monitor. This isn't a TV, it's actually a monitor. This is Led Zeppelin Coda. This was the last album released while they were still a group. I think technically after, and this was a bonus track on it called Hey, What Can I Do? The cymbal strikes on this sound fucking amazing. Holy shit. Really, really impressive. Anybody that owns this set knows what I'm talking about, and if you were thinking about getting it, man, this is not hot, it's not sizzling, it's not overly energetic, it's fucking perfect. And here we go. Oh, that was fucking perfect. The strike, the overtone, the death, the life of the cymbal from the moment that it struck until you can no longer catch it is its lifespan. It sounds fucking perfect. It's amazing that you can stick things in your ears, basically earplugs that are very, very close to your eardrum, and can do really, really good at that. And this is on my head outside of my ear and sounds better probably than most IEMs I've ever heard. The cymbal strike on that track that I just played for you on this sounds absolutely fucking amazing. Really, really impressive. And I'm going to do only one more sample. I don't need to get into the bass because the bass drop is savage and it's fine. And bass guitar sounds really, really good. What the fuck was I listening to? It actually sounded good on everything. It sounded good on the track that we just sampled right there. You could hear John Paul Jones doing his thing. The last thing that I want to listen to is Randy Rhodes, an outtake that was on Blizzard of Oz called D. And I'll give you the visual of it so that you can kind of follow along. This is a guy playing it right here. He's not using a pick, and like Randy Rhodes also didn't. He's plucking with his fingers. I don't want to get dinged for... Oh, I shouldn't actually get dinged for a copyright. Now, see what he's doing? Now, when you have OCD and you apply it to audio, you're noting the pulls, the pluck. These are basically pulls and releases of his fingers. You can call them plucks if you want. And also his finger on his other hand are going up and down the fretboard. And you can hear the slides on the strings as he's moving up and down. And to put a cherry on this, when Metallica did Fade to Black, that acoustic intro that they did, if you check Wikipedia, he made notation that he was, number one, worried about it was a departure for the fans at that point, and they might be like, what the fuck is he doing? And the second is he could not record it without the squeaks that you're hearing right here, or you will when I do the sound demo. For some reason, he wanted that not to be present when it's actually kind of the whole thing of the acoustic guitar. So what he couldn't do in Metallica in the intro to Fade to Black turned out to be fantastic, because if you listen to Fade to Black and you hear that intro, it's in this vein, whereas you can hear the finger slides and the taps and the pulls, and it's fucking beautiful. It's basically kind of like classical guitar. So this is D by Randy Rhodes, and this also sounds really, really good on this set. Where are we? Here we go. Ready? And that would be off of this album. So the low frequency of this for bass guitar, for everything that I'm listening to, John Paul Jones, Sultan of Swing, sounds fucking perfect. It sounds like being there. Again, the fact that this is a 40 millimeter driver is really kind of blowing my mind, because it's the psychoacoustic manipulation going on by how they did the tuning, because it sounds like a larger driver than it really is. I had bias coming into this, that this is, audiophile stuff, and it's top tier, and okay, pulled it out of the box. It felt not really great build quality. Thought, here we go, listened to music and was blown away. And the only thing I can say that is the difference for planar is the largeness of the presentation is more. Presence is a good term, because you feel present amongst instruments in a way with a planar large driver that is a little bit different with this. But unless you're tripping on wanting that specific effect, something like this set right here will give you all that you want. It will hit hard on a really demanding triple low frequency hit on a hip hop track. It will give you 4-string bass guitar sounding authentic in a track like this right here. Hey, what can I do? And also do the cymbal strikes like a champ. It is a very, very impressive set. I would only ding it for its... I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm going to put it on a hanger over there and not worry about it anymore. What is that set right there? Nothing in particular. It was something that was sent to me, and I guess they're not doing anything with it, and just thought I'd put a headphone and spin that thing around. So bass, low frequency is very good. The mids are excellent. There was nothing notable, because the bass was doing its job and it wasn't bleeding, bloating, encroaching, or doing anything that was manipulating. There's no odd peaks or dips in the mids that I can pick out listening to my music. Vocals didn't sound odd at all. Cymbal crashes sound fantastic. The sense of space that I get from a driver that this size, I never would have known had I not checked for the specs on this and noted it's a 40 millimeter driver. When you look inside it, you know it's not 70 millimeter, and you know it's a dynamic driver, but I was expecting less performance considering what it is. And that's it. So we'll go ahead and leave it there. Very good, and it's going to be my reference. So when I do a spider graph in the future, again, I like the visual. This will be what I compare another dynamic driver with. I don't know if comparing planars with the dynamic is really something I can do, because I'm convinced that there are things that are different, that are so clearly different, like soundstage. Comparing a very good performing large planar driver and its stage presentation to a 40 millimeter that's using an open back structure to enhance the sense of space, I don't think is a fair comparison. So I will stick to dynamic comparisons with those types of graphs, and also I'll start to produce frequency graphs and do my best. So that's it. That's the focal clear. They're going to be my reference, so they're obviously really good. If you got this set, you already know what I'm talking about. I can't find the real weakness in it. It's not in the vocals, it's not in the cymbals, it's not in the drums, it's not in the bass, it's not in deck mixed hits and hip hop. I'm not finding the clear weak spot in this, which is, I guess, why people really, really like it. And now I'm out. And please enjoy the unboxing. It's no big deal. It's like a couple minutes, and I'm out. Okay, let's see what we got here. This is unboxing for the Focal Clear. This is the box. If you hear shh coming out of the left side, we're taking care of the binaural audio. And it's very cold, so bear with me on this one. Lift it up. This is a pop top, I guess. Take that off. It's got a nice padding on the inside to cushion the case, I guess. It's got a handle on it. You pull it out, and you've got the carrying case. Looks like a woman's bag. I'm familiar with Focal because they do car audio also, and pretty well too, so I was surprised to find out that they were so well received in the personal audio, like headgear stuff. I don't know which came first. I'd have to check. I probably won't, but this is the inner side case, and if you take that out and open it up, you've got your spare cables, which people have talked poor about, but I don't see the problem right away. There's an XLR termination to go balance XLR, and then you've got the stereo plug termination, and that's nice at this price point to have those cables. Presentation is better than Hi-Fi Man, easily. Even their $3,900 set is just a wood box, really. So take this. You should be watching this after the review so people don't get all pissed off. And then here's the protective case. And then inside there you've got, I guess, a regular, maybe termination of 3.5 with another stereo adapter included in that. And then you take out the headphones, and these are beautiful. These are really, really beautiful. It's a little bit of, it's a lot going on. You got the metal yoke that's running up, and you've got a whole surrounding separate plastic shield over that. Adjustments seem nice and stable. You can count the clicks while you're not even looking at it. Nice plane, binaural. It's on my left right now. Made out of, feels like aluminum. It's lightweight, sturdy. So this is metal, this is metal, this is open back. So these are open back dynamic drivers. These are 40 millimeter drivers. The comfort on these is excellent. Yeah, those fit nice. Clear aluminum magnesium, I guess is what these are. I think the higher ends are beryllium, if I'm not mistaken. You guys know I'm a big fan of beryllium. So review should have already come up for these. In build quality, they're good. They're not awesome though. If you own these, you already know this kind of stuff. And do you really care? I don't know what that is. I don't want to mess with it too much. So the more things that you put on, the more points you have. It's got a very recessed plug right there. So aftermarkets would have to be smaller than that if you were going to use aftermarket cables. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to that because these are probably going to go to my Patreons maybe in a month or two. Hint right there. And that is the unboxing. So you get the headphones, you get the regular cable that terminates to 3.5, which would be this plug. Yes, that plug. And then you've got an adapter so that you go to this plug, pretty much standard stereo. You've got the additional cables that you could go XLR balanced if you wanted to. And also, that's just straight to stereo right there if you want. Maybe that's a longer cable than this one. This maybe is for portable use and that is maybe for at home. And that is the Focal Clear unboxing. If you saw the video, you know that I like it. I think it sounds really good, but I'm a believer that when you've got a driver that's this size and you A and B it with something that's this size, that you start to notice it. So comparing this with another dynamic would be ideal, not necessarily with a planar. I would advise people maybe to have one of each. Instead of having two dynamics, maybe you have one of each and experience what the difference is, because they're clearly different. And that is way too long for an unboxing, and I'm out.